What's going on, guys? It is the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you my top 50 roller coasters I've ever ridden. This is number 50 through number 31. This is also as of August 2021. Let's get started. Number 50 is Verbolten at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This is a really cool Zero family coaster. It has some really cool theming, especially in that indoor section, aka the Black Forest. It's a pretty cool spaghetti-like section, and this is a really fun coaster. It has a really solid outdoor section in the first third of the ride and the final third of the ride, while that middle third is just this crazy indoor section, along with the crazy chaotic drop track where you go from one section of track to the other and you fall or in free fall through that. It's a really cool coaster and definitely a really awesome ride. Next is a coaster that will be no longer operating pretty soon. It's Wicked Twister. This is a very fun, intimate impulse coaster. The launches are really solid, and the twists are really excellent as well. This is a really well-rounded launch coaster. Not on the elite tier of launch coasters, but a really, really good ride. 48 is Raven. This is a cool, classic CCI wooden coaster with a pretty cool layout. It's pretty intense. There's a really cool turn right by a pond. It may not be the longest coaster, and it has gotten retracked recently, so it's a bit smoother than it used to be. It's a really fun ride, and it's a really cool experience. Really decent terrain coaster. 47 is American Eagle at Six Flags Great America. This is an Intamin racing wooden roller coaster that was made all the way back in 1981, and it still holds up today. Unfortunately, not as much with both sides racing, but even still, this is a very, very fun coaster. It has some okay airtime, and it's just a really, really fun ride. The drop is really solid, and I do like the layout as well. It's not boring. There's always something going on, and it's just a really iconic ride as well. 46 is Batman the Ride, and even though this is a cloned coaster, this is a great cloned coaster. It's super intense. The inversions are jam-packed with G-forces, and this is just a really solid ride. All around, I don't really have anything wrong to say about Batman the Ride. It's a great ride every time. 45 is Montu at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And this is a bit more unique than Batman the Ride. That's why it's higher. And it's a really solid coaster. Not as intense as I thought it would be, and not as good as I thought it would be, but it's still a really solid ride, jam-packed with inversions. It's a really well-rounded B&M invert. 44 is Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This is a really cool Intamin family coaster. It is jam-packed with plenty of fun elements, a single inversion, and a couple decent launches to go along with it. This Intamin Blitz coaster is really solid. It's a lot of fun, and it's one of those adventure type of coasters where the elements may not be the most elite elements on the planet, but this ride, it's all about the speed as you go through the terrain. It's a really fun ride. 43 is Steel Hawg at Indiana Beach, and this is a hang time machine on those inversions that it has. And it has a really cool beyond vertical drop. It's a really fun little coaster. It's really funky and weird. It's a really cool experience. 42 is another weird roller coaster. It's Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit, and this coaster is at Universal Studios in Florida. And it's kind of weird. It has a vertical lift hill, and you would think, oh, beyond vertical drop with this type of coaster, but no. This is a really weird coaster, and it has a not even a vertical drop, which is pretty funny, but it's pretty cool. You get to choose your own song as you board the train, and the restraints allow for some pretty underrated airtime. This is a pretty decently airtime filled coaster, and there's also a half loop. And some pretty decent intense turns. This is a pretty compact coaster as well. It has a solid ride time. Overall, it's a really fun ride. Number 41 is American Thunder at Six Flags St. Louis. This is a GCI wooden roller coaster and one of the only GCIs I've ridden. It's a really fun coaster. It has a solid first drop, some solid airtime moments, and some really good turns. It's pretty fast paced. It's a really good coaster. 40th is Legend, and this ride is the king of laterals. This Holiday World wooden coaster has some insane turns and insane helixes. The first drop is pretty cool as well. It may not be the smoothest roller coaster in the world, but man, does it make up for that with the insane laterals on this thing. It's so much fun. If you're really into lateral G-forces, ride this ride. 39th is a much smoother coaster than the Legend. It's Griffon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. The best B&M dive coaster I've ever ridden. Glossy smooth, awesome airtime on the first drop, and that smaller second drop. The inversions are excellent as well. There's a massive water splashdown. It's a really fun coaster, and it's also a really beautiful and picturesque B&M coaster. 38th is Dominator at King's Dominion. This is a very fun B&M floorless coaster. It has some good inversions, a really nice first drop, and it's just a really fun coaster overall. 37th is Banshee at Kings Island, and even though this coaster has developed a bit of a rattle in the past few years and it has gotten stronger, but this coaster provides some excellent elements, plenty of inversions, a beautiful color scheme, a great theme, and a really cool grand finale with that inline twist and the final helix. Next is Mystic Timbers, another Kings Island coaster. This is their GCI wooden coaster and the newest wooden roller coaster to come to Kings Island. It has a really solid first drop and plenty of fun, small little airtime hills throughout the ride. It has a very cool out and back style layout. It utilizes the terrain to its advantage. And the shed, even though it is a bit of a letdown, it is still fun to see what you will get out of the three different characters you might get. It's a really solid GCI. Number 35 is Goliath at Six Flags Great America. And this is an RMC Topper Trek wooden coaster and the weakest RMC that I've ridden, but that doesn't take away from this awesome coaster. It has an insane first drop, some awesome inversions with that dive loop and the 0G stall, along with having some really solid airtime moments. This is a really good RMC. I just wish it was a much longer coaster. And sometimes I'll get some really, really smooth rides on it, and sometimes I won't get as smooth of a ride. But despite its flaws, Goliath still holds up as a very excellent RMC. 34 is a bizarre classic coaster. It's Shockwave at Six Flags Over Texas. This ride is severely underrated, and this coaster is absolutely loaded with ejector airtime and intensity. It may have some shallow drops, but don't let that fool you because this coaster provides some insane ejector airtime, especially in the back row on those shallow drops, along with having some pretty solid vertical loops and a very smooth experience. Number 33 is Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast at both Six Flags St. Louis and Six Flags Over Texas. Both of these coasters are really good. The St. Louis one is a little bit better, but both of them provide an awesome backwards launch, the inverted top hat, a really nice overbank turn, and a vertical spike transferred twice. This is an excellent launch coaster, and that backwards launch is so intense as you go up into that top hat at the start. Very, very fun ride. Definitely the best coaster at Six Flags St. Louis. Number 32 is Superman Ride of Steel at Six Flags America. And even though this is a pretty weak hyper coaster, it's a really fun coaster. It has a really good drop, some really solid airtime moments, And even though this coaster does have those two massive helixes and everyone says they're terrible, they aren't that bad. They're pretty solid elements. Even though they aren't the best elements they could have chosen for the coaster, this is still a really fun ride. 31 is Raptor at Cedar Point. This is an intense B&M invert. It's jam-packed with 6 inversions, a vertical loop cobra roll, corkscrews, and this coaster is just absolutely insane. Plenty of fun elements. It's a really phenomenal coaster and a really underrated Cedar Point coaster. Like everyone talks about their Intamin coasters, but this B&M still, even though it's the first B&M invert or B&M coaster at Cedar Point, it still holds up so well today. It's a really fun ride. And yeah, that's all for this video. That was number 50 through number 31 on my top 50 roller coasters I've ridden as of August 2021. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.